The Lost Locket and the Red Fox. Ilara lived in a small house. The house was blue. It had a red door. Around the house was a beautiful garden. Ilara loved her garden. She had red flowers and yellow flowers. She had green vegetables. Carrots and peas grew in her garden. Ilara was a happy girl. She lived alone, but she was not lonely. She had the sun, the flowers, and the birds. Ilara had something very special. It was a locket. The locket was gold. It was small and round. On the locket was a small carved flower. The flower was a lily. The locket was from her grandmother. Her grandmother gave it to her many years ago. "This locket is special, Ilara," her grandmother said. "It holds love." Inside the locket, there were two small pictures. One picture was of her grandmother. Her grandmother was smiling. The other picture was of her grandfather. He was smiling too. Ilara loved the locket. She wore it every day. It was on a long, gold chain around her neck. When she was sad, she held the locket in her hand. It felt warm. It made her feel safe. It made her feel happy. Every morning, Ilara woke up with the sun. The sun came through her window. The first thing she did was touch her locket. She said, "Good morning, grandmother. Good morning, grandfather." Then she got out of bed. She made her breakfast. She ate bread and cheese. She drank a glass of milk. The locket was always with her. One sunny morning, Ilara woke up. The birds were singing outside her window. She smiled. It was a beautiful day. She reached for her neck to touch her locket. Her fingers touched her skin. There was no chain. There was no locket. Ilara sat up in her bed. Her heart started to beat fast. "My locket," she whispered. She looked at her pillow. She looked at her blanket. The locket was not there. Maybe it fell, she thought. She got out of bed. She looked on the floor. She looked under her bed. There was only a little dust and a small spider. The locket was not there. She felt a cold feeling in her stomach. "Where is my locket?" she said to the empty room. Her voice was small. She looked on her small wooden table. On the table was a book and a cup. There was no locket. She looked in the drawer of the table. There were pens and paper. There was no locket. Ilara went to the kitchen. The kitchen was small and clean. She looked on the kitchen counter. She looked in the sink. She looked in the cupboard with the plates and cups. The locket was not there. "My grandmother's locket," she said. A tear ran down her cheek. She was very sad. She searched the whole house. She searched every room. She looked behind the chairs. She looked under the small rug. She looked in her coat pockets. She looked in her shoe. The locket was gone. It was not in the house. Ilara sat on a chair in her kitchen. The sun was bright outside, but she felt dark inside. Her house felt empty without the locket. She felt empty. The locket was more than just gold. It was her grandmother's love. It was her family. "I must find it," she said. She wiped her tears. "I must be strong." She thought about the day before. What did she do yesterday? She worked in her garden. She walked to the village. She talked to her friends. Maybe the locket was outside. Maybe it was in the garden. She opened the red door and went outside. The garden was beautiful. The red and yellow flowers were bright in the sun. The bees were busy. Usually, the garden made her happy. Today, it did not. She started to search in the garden. She walked very slowly. She looked at the ground. She looked at the small stone path. The path went from her door to the small gate. She looked at every stone. The locket was not on the path. She went to the flower beds. She was very careful. She did not want to hurt the flowers. She looked under the big green leaves of the lily plants. The lilies were white and beautiful. They looked like the flower on her locket. She touched a flower. It was soft, but her locket was not there. She looked near the red roses. The roses had thorns. She was careful with her hands. She moved the leaves gently. She saw the brown earth. She saw a small worm. She did not see a gold locket. Her garden had a small vegetable patch. She grew carrots and peas and lettuce. She looked around the carrot tops. The green leaves were tall. She looked around the pea plants. The peas were in their green pods. She looked under the big leaves of the lettuce. The ground was damp and dark. The locket was not there. She spent a long time in the garden. The sun moved higher in the sky. It became warm. Ilara felt tired. Her back hurt from bending down. Her heart hurt from sadness. She had a small wooden bench in her garden. It was under a big apple tree. She sat on the bench. A little blue bird landed on a branch above her. It sang a happy song. Ilara did not feel happy. "Little bird," she said softly, "did you see my locket? It is gold and round." The little bird sang again, and then flew away. It could not help her. She looked at the apple tree. Maybe the locket was in the tree? But how? She did not climb the tree yesterday. She stood up and looked around the base of the tree. The grass was green and soft. There were some fallen leaves. She moved the leaves with her foot. There was no locket. She felt hopeless. The locket was not in her house. It was not in her garden. Where could it be? She thought again about yesterday. After she worked in the garden, she went to the village. She went to the market. Maybe she lost it in the village. "I must go to the village," she decided. "I must ask everyone." This gave her a little hope. It was a small hope, but it was better than no hope. She went back into her house. She washed her face with cold water. She put on her walking shoes. She closed the red door of her blue house and walked to the small gate. She opened the gate and started on the path to the village. The path to the village was a dirt path. On both sides were green fields. In the fields there were sheep. The sheep were white and fluffy. They ate the green grass. They did not look up when she walked by. The sun was warm on her face. A small breeze moved her hair. It was a beautiful day, but Ilara could not see the beauty. Her mind was full of one thought: where is my locket? The village was not far. After a short walk, she saw the first houses. The houses in the village were made of stone. They had brown roofs. Smoke came from some of the chimneys. It smelled like wood fires and baking bread. The village was a friendly place. Everyone knew Ilara. She walked down the main street. The street was made of cobblestones. The stones were gray and smooth. She saw Mr. Gable. He was sweeping the street in front of his shop. "Good morning, Ilara," said Mr. Gable. He had a big white mustache. "Good morning, Mr. Gable," Ilara said. Her voice was quiet. "Is everything all right?" he asked. "You look sad today." Ilara stopped. "I lost something," she said. "I lost my grandmother's locket. It is gold and round. Did you see it?" Mr. Gable stopped sweeping. He thought for a moment. He looked at the street. "A gold locket? No, my dear, I did not see a locket. I am very sorry. It is a special locket, I know." "Yes, it is. Very special," Ilara said. Her heart felt heavy again. "Thank you, Mr. Gable." She continued to walk down the street. She saw children playing with a ball. They were laughing. Ilara did not feel like laughing. She went to the market. The market was in the center of the village. It was a busy place. There were many stalls. One stall sold red apples and green pears. Another stall sold fresh bread. Another stall sold colorful cloth. Ilara went to the fruit stall first. Mrs. Gable was there. She was Mr. Gable's wife. She was a kind woman with a warm smile. "Hello, Ilara," said Mrs. Gable. "Do you want some apples today? They are very sweet." "Hello, Mrs. Gable," Ilara said. "I am not here for apples. I lost my locket. I was here yesterday. Did you see a gold locket near your stall?" Mrs. Gable's smile disappeared. She looked worried for Ilara. "Oh no, your beautiful locket. I remember you wore it yesterday. It was so pretty. But no, I did not see it on the ground. I am so sorry, Ilara." She gave Ilara a red apple. "Here, take this, for good luck." "Thank you," Ilara said. She took the apple, but she was not hungry. She went to every stall in the market. She asked every person. She asked the man who sold bread. She asked the woman who sold cheese. She asked the boy who sold flowers. Everyone was very sorry. Everyone said they did not see the locket, but they would look for it. The hope she had felt was getting smaller and smaller. It was like a little candle in the wind. She left the market and walked through the village. She felt very alone. She walked past the bakery. The smell of fresh bread was warm and wonderful. It was the best smell in the village. The baker was Mr. Leo. He was an old man. He had white hair like flour. He had kind blue eyes. He was a very wise man. Ilara decided to talk to him. She pushed open